How's it going everyone, this is Vertic here, and for this video we're going to create the audio spectrum which looks like Trap Nation. I did a part 1 on this which was the basic audio spectrum, and if you didn't see that video you can either click a link in the description or click on the screen. Create a new composition, and in here you want to set it to 1920 by 1080, keep it on lock, have it on square pixels, keep the frame rate on 30, you can put it up to 60 but just keep in mind it will double the render time. For the resolution, I've set mine to quarter because this is only the preview. You don't really need to worry about it too much. This is mainly for the project. And of course, you want to make sure that the duration of this project is the same as your music. The last one, you want to keep it on its default color, and now you press OK. Now that we've got our project, we're going to go over to this tab right here. Okay, so with the files, you want to make sure you have at least a logo or an image the audio spectrum can wrap itself around. For me, I have the After Effects logo. One of them is with just a solid color and one of them is with a gradient. And of course you want to have an image or a video to be in the background. You just want to highlight them all and drag them into the project area. Once you've done that, we are going to first of all get the audio file, drag this down, and we are also going to get the both logos by holding shift and highlight them both. You want to press S on your keyboard to get you the scale and set this to 50% if yours is too big. The next thing to do is to create the audio spectrum, and to do this you right click in this empty area, go to new, go to solid and leave it on normal. You want to press OK, and now you can either go to effect and get it in generate audio spectrum, or you can even search it in the effects. I'm going to change the color to white just so it's easier to see. The first option that you want to change is the audio layer. You want to set this one to the music, and this just links up your music with the audio spectrum. The start point is going to be on 2, the end point is going to be on 1920. The start frequency is going to be on 20 and the end frequency is going to be on 250. It depends on your song and it is different for each and every one, but the way that this works is the more or the higher the number that this one is, the more bumps you'll have in your music. So the lower it is, obviously the less bumps you'll have and the less bands will react. Set the bands to 2000, make the maximum high 1250, keep the audio on 100, thickness to 5 and softness to 0. You want to scroll down and go to where it says side A and B and just set this one to side B. And that is pretty much it for the audio spectrum. Now to wrap it around the logo, we are going to add an effect called polar. And it is this one, polar coordination or coordinates, and drag this down to the audio spectrum. Set this to 100% and set this one to rect to polar. And now you will see it is wrapped around this image, or it's in a circle. The next thing to do is to change the scale to, let's say, 90. You want to move the audio spectrum underneath the logo so it doesn't appear on top. You want to mess about with the settings until you get them right, because it's different for every song you make it react to. For example, mine is more with bass music, so this one is designed to be more bigger waves rather than small waves. For the multiple layers of colors, you can pretty much duplicate this layer, and for each and every one you want to change the frequency and the audio duration, because that's how it plays around with that. Also, you want to change the height as well. End frequency, height, and audio duration. They're the ones that you will have to either make them lower or make them higher depending on what you're looking for. I'm not going to add any more layers, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mirror this left side so it also appears on the right side. To do this, you want to drag in an effect called mirror. You want to drag this down to your audio layer and you want to set this one to 960. And now you will see it is directly in the center, and both sides are playing equally the same. The next effect that we're going to add is we're going to make this logo bounce to the music. Now we're not going to change the scale, but we will add an effect which will make it look like it's bouncing or jumping, getting closer to the screen. You want to first of all go on the audio layer and right click on it and go to keyframe assistant, convert to audio keyframes. The reason for this is so we get the slider and we can pretty much make anything react with it. You want to open it up and highlight left and right. You don't need these two unless you want it to be specific. We can just use the both channels and that will be just fine. You can see all the keyframes here. They've all been set out. Next, you want to create an adjustment layer. Go to new, adjustment layer right there. And what you want to do is type in magnify. Drag this down into adjustment. You want to change the size of it to 1100 and you want to change the magnification to 100. What we're going to do now is we're going to make the magnification effect react with the slider by going to magnification, and by holding Alt you want to click on the stopwatch and this will give you an expression. In the expression you want to type in the value, which is 100. You want to put in a plus and you want to drag this down to the slider. By default this works really well, but it reacts a bit too much. So what you can do is set this one to times 0.5 and that will make it react a little bit less. You want to click on the logo and press T to get the opacity of it. Set this one to 0. And now you want to do the same as last time. So if you hold Alt and click on the stopwatch, this time we're going to type in 0 plus and then drag this to the slider. What this means is basically it starts from 0% and it goes up depending on how loud the music is or how the keyframes react in the audio amplitude. If we click anywhere on the screen now to apply it. So let's say yours doesn't react a lot. All you got to do to fix this is go on the end and type in times 2 and that should make it react more than it is right now. What you want to do now is you want to click on the bottom one and click on the top one by holding shift. You want to highlight them all and right click, then go down to pre-composition and then press OK. Go back to project and now we are ready to import this image, which is right here. You want to drag the image down to the timeline, press S again and change the scale to 80%. The reason for this is because you want to have at least a little area in between here where you still have the image outside of it. So just keep it a little bit bigger than what it is outside of it, and then you want to go to the effects and presets and then search for an effect called wiggle. We're going to add the wiggle rotation, but first of all what we need to do is we want a adjustment layer. Again, go to new, adjustment layer, drag this one underneath the logo. We need to get the slider back by right clicking on this one and go to convert to audio keyframes. For this one you just want to hide this one, open it up, go to effect, highlight them both and delete them. You want to drag the wiggle effect, wiggle rotation to the adjustment and set this one to 3 for the amount and the speed on 0.5. Now that we've got the rotation done, we're just going to minimize this. For the next effect, we're going to drag in a fast blur. You want to drag this down underneath the rotation, set the amount to 0. You want to hold Alt on the amount and click on the stopwatch. Type in 0 plus and then drag this down to the slider. And the very last effect that we are going to drag in is brightness and contrast. If you type in brightness, you want to drag brightness and contrast down underneath this one. Set the brightness to -20. Once again, hold Alt and click on the brightness stopwatch. You want to type in -20 plus and then drag this down to the slider. Click off it, and that is pretty much it. But anyway, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, give it a thumbs up for the amount of time it took me to perfect these settings and set it all up. It did crash a lot, and I mean a lot, every time I would change something. But yeah, if you would like to see part 1, click a video on the screen, and I have more videos on my channel. Leave a comment on what you thought of the video, and I will see you all next time. Bye.